Okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm super excited to spend some time with a industry legend and billionaire, Mr. Ed Mercer, who actually at one point was like the number one network marketer in history with like 1.3 million team member in Herbalife, 2.4 million team member in Forever Green. Now, Ed Mercer has also has the privilege to travel, over 86 countries with the elite grand legend Jim Rohn, and I'm super excited to have him on the call right now with us to have a great interview. So, hi, Mr. Mercer, how are you today?
I'm doing terrific. Actually, today is my best day ever. Yesterday has passed. Tomorrow's not here yet, and so today is my best day ever. And excited and thrilled to have the opportunity to be on the call with you today.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I totally agree with you. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow because it doesn't exist. And yeah, yesterday's gone. So awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time today for this interview. I wanted to do this to learn from you, maybe, about the mindset and attitude, and also share with my team and the whole world that is working together in GWT as well. So I'd love to ask you a few questions, things like, well, how was your life growing up? Like, where did you come from?
Well, it's sort of a very complicated story, but I will share it with you real quickly. Actually, I lived in a condemned house with no running water, no electricity, no plumbing, no floors. Actually, the only time we even had drinking water is when my mother melted snow in the wintertime. Two of my brothers died of an overdose of drugs. My one brother was shot to death, and my other brother died at 12 years old. And I was an abused child on the streets at 15 years old and a millionaire at 27. So that's sort of a short synopsis of where I came from. So for me, it doesn't matter. My youngest millionaire was 19, couldn't speak a word of English. My oldest millionaire was 72. She was in a wheelchair with one leg amputated due to cancer. So I always tell people, if you've had a setback, get ready for a comeback. Because it has, in this industry, it has nothing to do with whether you're Baptist or Buddhist, whether you're black or white, whether you're educated or not. My book is called The Eighth Grade Millionaire because I only went to school to grade 8, but a millionaire at 27. So everything is sort of like bacon and eggs. The chicken was there, but the pig made a commitment, right? If you're going to be successful, you need to make a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. So you already created over 50 millionaires.
I have created 50 millionaires. When I looked at this, I was contacted by some top people from Guinness's Book of World Records and in the multi-level marketing industry. When I talk about money, I just want to talk about it as a measuring stick, but I spent $97,000 US and hired a marketing company out of the United States that surveyed actually over 8,000 companies before I chose GWT. I was living in Costa Rica in a beautiful, gated community, living 5 doors from the president of the country, and unbelievable. They said to me, we found the company for you. It's a debt-free company. They have no competition. The leadership is over the top. The only thing is you're going to have to move back to Canada. So, again, it's all about commitment. I left Costa Rica, I left everything there, and moved to Costa Rica, moved from Costa Rica just to be here in Canada so I could, work to get my 100 new people as millionaires.
Wow. Well, so you mentioned that your first millionaire was 19. When did you start the network marketing industry?
Well, I'm an antique, I guess. I've been in the business since I was 20 years old, and the key to it is that, again, with no education and being a street person and all the other things that went with it, I had no options. I had to find something where there was a low startup cost with with no previous experience in sales or marketing. And I just decided that, this was it. I seen people at a meeting I was at making some very big money, and I knew if somebody else could do it, I could also.
Wow. Wow, that's very inspiring. So you just, went to work and kept on going, and then now you're a legend. This is pretty amazing. So what would be some of the tips or experience that you had to go over these years in network marketing that really, like, any tips that you'd love to share with our audience here?
One of the things I'd like to share with you real quickly, one of the things that did change my life, basically I was watching TV at a friend's house actually, and there was three people from the disability hospital, and they won $27 million, so they split $9 million each. They said to the first person, which was blind due to a serious car accident, and her face was all disfigured, and they asked her what she was going to do with her $9 million. And she said, if I could only see my husband and my children, I'd give up my 9 million. And the second person was totally disabled, had no bodily functions whatsoever, and said if he could only get out of the wheelchair for one day, he'd give up his 9 million. And the other person was deaf and dumb. He couldn't speak or hear, and said through sign language, if he could only speak or hear, he would give up his $9 million. Although I was living in a very horrendous type of environment, I figured at that time I was worth $27 million. I could walk, I could talk, I could speak, I could hear. God gave me all those tools. Shame on me if I didn't use them. And I decided at that time that no matter what I touched, whether it be a person or an opportunity, I was going to make that person or opportunity better than when I found it.
Wow. It's yeah, this is very powerful because many people have all these attributes and perhaps we're not using it the way that we should. So this is
The thing is too, I always say, Jim Rohn taught me, he said, never take advice from broke people. And what happens is that a lot of people, they will go out there and they will look at this opportunity or any other opportunity. And because somebody else in their family, and unfortunately it could be their mother, their father, their spouse, could be their sisters, their brothers, could be someone immediate in your family, because they've never had a dream, they try to steal yours. And sometimes what happens, we have a tendency to listen to people, other people. And I decided many years ago that no matter what happened, I was not going to let anyone decide what type of school I was going to send my children to, what type of car I was going to drive, what type of house I was going to live in. I did not allow anyone to steal my dreams.
yeah, really giving your dreams away, right? Keep it for yourself and go and get them instead. So
I don't know if you've ever been into a room where the room smells a little bit, and after you're there for 10 or 15 minutes, you don't notice it anymore. See, if you stay long enough in the same place, you become that place. You start walking the way they do, talking the way they do, dressing the way they do, eating the way they do. They stole your identity, and unfortunately, you don't even realize it. So if you stay long enough in the same place, you always become that place. So I decided I will not become that place. I actually made some sacrifices. I moved away, miles and miles away from everyone I knew, to start my life over again. So that was a total sacrifice that I made. And when you get into my car, the first thing that happens when I turn on my ignition, a motivational tape comes on. I listen to motivational tapes every single day. The first thing I do in the morning is I listen to everything to do with positive thinking, positive attitude. See, what happens is not, people talk about diseases, they talk about cancer, they talk about heart disease, they talk about all the killing diseases. I don't believe they're the killing diseases. I believe it's called hardening of the attitudes. It's called stinking thinking. So people just need to check up from the neck up, because that's what happens. You get involved in a negative environment, and that's exactly where you're going to be.
yeah, absolutely. So share with us, like, talking about the negative environment and where people are hanging out. Like, there's so many opportunity out there. I mean, you've been around for like such a, you're a legend in network marketing, and with all the opportunity that people are facing, why did you choose GWT, and why did you partner with Mr. Ramsharder and Miss Jensen?
I chose that for many reasons. Number one, for a lot of people on the call that maybe wouldn't appreciate this part, I joined it because it's a Canadian company, and I'm Canadian, and born in Canada. I'm proud to be a Canadian. But what happened is all the people that are on the call, no matter where they're from in the world, because it's in Canadian dollars, Canada dollars at an all-time low, so it gives them an advantage even over us that they can get into the business for less money. Also, I was in the business of lotions and potions, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but one thing about our product, we don't have expiry dates, and we don't have to be an esthetician or a cosmetician or a doctor to explain our products. The thing I liked about it, when they did our study and our survey, out of the 8,300 companies, 810 companies sold anti-aging products, weight loss products, and cosmetics. So you have over 800 companies basically selling the same type of product. All they did is they had different stories, different packaging, but and the bottom line was that it was all the same. It was one of those Me Too products. And my friend owns Good Life Fitnesses in Canada. He owns them all. He was telling me from New Year's Eve until the end of the month, in all of his locations, you cannot get a parking spot. People are parked on the side streets. People are walking blocks to get to the workout. He said in February you could park next to the disabled. The thing is that the road to hell was paved with great intentions. People will only change their eating habits or something for a certain period of time. So the rate of fallout is almost unbelievable. I mean, 3 to 5%.
Wow. Oh, I think we lost you, Mr. Mercer. But it's so true. Like with.
Are you there? I'm sorry.
Okay, there you are. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. Yeah, the rate of fallout, my rate of keeping people in the business, in this business, is 98%. So when I first got involved, although you had mentioned before about having 1.3 million distributors, I was making well over $100,000 a month. But when I met with the company, and I met with Rene. Rene basically had 7,000 distributors, and he was making over $100,000 a month. I thought there's something wrong with this picture, right? 7,000 people making over $100,000 a month. I would have a 1.3 million and making over $100,000 a month. So I looked at the compensation plan, but what I really looked at is I don't want to get involved in anything unless every single person in my organization is making money. And unfortunately, in all the other businesses, some of the people at the top were making the big money, and the people at the bottom were not. And so this is another thing. One thing that I really pay attention to, that the fashion industry is $1.2 trillion a year. 1.2 trillion, people can't relate to 1.2 trillion. You can buy every sports team in the entire world. You can buy Apple computer and pay cash and still have $560 billion left over. In Canada alone, there's virtually hundreds of stores closing down. Even Walmart's closing down over 200 stores. And people don't understand what online shopping is. 76% of the people are doing online shopping. So if you took, and it's a $1.72 trillion a year industry on top of the 1.2 plus the 25% growth every year. So there's never been an opportunity as big as this one. Although I made millions of dollars off the mood ring and some other products that I was in charge of worldwide, the bottom line is this is bigger than anything I've ever done. This is bigger than any multi-level. This is bigger than any past experience I've ever had in my entire life. This is it.
Wow. And you brought so many good points and tips here that, I mean, yeah, like having a team of 1.3 million members, like I don't know 1.3 million members. right? So most people cannot get there. But yeah, when you met with Renee Liao with Global World Trade and realized that with 7,000 you can make it. Like imagine all the people we can bless and all the family we can serve. So that's very, very powerful. So let me ask you in conclusion here, like what are you creating now? Like where are you going?
Well, I would say it's not a plan. It's going to happen. It's a goal that I'm going to keep. I'm going to make 100 new people millionaires, and that is a promise I've made to myself and to the company. I'm in it to win it. Someone says to me yesterday, they says, so what do you do for a living? I said, whatever it takes. And that's the attitude you have to have. Whatever it takes, that's what I do. And we'll all tell you, we had meetings on Monday night, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, and Saturdays. I've never missed a meeting since the day I started in the company. The key is wherever you are, be there, right? Because your attitude has to do with your altitude. And basically, when people say, oh, I'm not going to the meeting because I don't have a guest, it's not about you. It's not about the guest. It's about support of the team. I always say when the team is together, the dream is together. And even if you don't have anybody, you leave the meeting, you leave the seminar a different person than when you arrived. If you just sat home, it's easy to do, but it's easy not to do. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem. It's easy to do, but it's easy not to do. If you don't go to the meetings, next meeting becomes easier not to go to. And it's like everything else, out of sight, out of mind. And all of a sudden, you say, well, this don't work. This is not happening for me. And people quit.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this is very inspiring. So any advice or tips that you want to share to any of our audience here? Maybe they're not, or they haven't heard about Global World Trade, or maybe they are with Global World Trade. That any last tips before we go here?
Just basically an observation. There's never been a product in the world that hasn't been duplicated. I mean, if someone was to get a runny nose, they say, get me a Kleenex. Well, a Kleenex is a tissue, but there's hundreds of tissues out there. When I started looking at this, and out of the 8,300 companies, and I seen we were the only fashion company in the world, basically with the accolades that we have, with movie stars wearing our products, and the owner, the president of the company being in the American Business Magazine on the cover, and all the accolades that we have with no competition. I can't understand why someone wouldn't jump onto this immediately. A lot of my people too got into the business because of the tax savings. I've never seen a business basically where you can actually shop on your own mall in hundreds of different countries with an online shopping industry, which is the largest program on the planet right now, where someone would not make a decision. Some of my friends are getting back $6,000, $7,000, up to $10,000 back in their income tax and writing off their entire business. So again, I don't understand if someone don't join. I really reach out because I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry that they didn't join, because this could be the turning point in their entire life.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mercer, for taking the time today and sharing your tips and vision, and where we're heading. To everyone here that will be listening to this call, it's absolutely an honor to have you, to spending my morning or your afternoon together. It's not every day that we have a chance to speak to a billionaire who's so humble and willing to share so many great tips. So thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again and to have more of these. I know that we're planning to come to Toronto, so we'll be visiting again. And so I'm gonna quickly say a wonderful thank you for everything you do and all the family that you're serving and helping, and really the 100 millionaires that you're creating. And I'm very blessed to know that I will be one of those. And you know, you might not even know how you're creating me, but you are, which is the beauty of it, because it's all about commitment and decision. So I'm very honored to have you on the call this morning with me and all the audience that's going to be watching this interview. So,
okay, well, thank you for having me on the call. God bless you and everyone listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.